live in 3. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Marfoogle TV, and we've got a lot to talk about. Again, we're going to go right into it. It is a later show tonight. Again, rain, sleet, or snow, we go on if there's important things to talk about. And as for, of course, now we have more proof in my mind that we are separating from China. If you haven't followed this show or you're new here, again, we have covered almost every disconnect between China and the U.S. We have focused on this for years, not months. Again, mainstream media is now covering that this is all happening. And of course, the president, this is the big news, that all of these trade war actions are not going away. Now, I sure hope that they do, but again, it doesn't look like it anytime soon. China tells airlines to suspend Boeing jet deliveries. So they are saying no more Boeing jets. We don't want them anymore. We're good, at least for now. And hopefully this does not continue. And we're talking about huge money. We're talking about economic hits to our economy and China's economy that are make or break. That means what comes next is usually a war. Again, this is not good. China has told airlines to stop taking deliveries of jets from American aviation giant Boeing. A report said Tuesday as a trade war between Beijing and the United States deepens. Now, again, one thing I think of is like if something like this, all of these things could be done. Say if there were some folks in cahoots, I mean, at the very top levels, you do something like this, drop the stocks like a tank, and then you buy it up and then you sell it when they say, oh, it's all good, we want 10,000 again, and they return to normal. Hopefully that's the kind of corrupt thing that's happening, because otherwise we are in a trade war that is not ending with one of the most dependent countries on us, and we are most dependent on them. Almost every kind of electronic is coming from China right now. So this is going to make our life hell on top of the inflation we've already been living with, and of course, everything that's been going on. We're going to talk about this. We're also going to be talking about many more things, including Starlink, of course, under threat. We're going to talk about Pete Hegseth and that secret memo. They are firing people. They're suspending people for that. Obviously, that shows that was real. And of course, the memo talking about a memo with, a meeting with Elon Musk about a war with China. It totally looks like they are covering something up. We'll talk about that here in a second. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfugglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam A.K. Marf. This is going to be a very short show. We're going to go over the most important things of today. Again, rain, sleet, or snow, we always do a show. If I'm not dead, I'm usually on here, and I'm usually going to tell you what's most important about what is happening in the last 24 hours, 24 to 72 hours. Again, China telling the airlines, Boeing, as far as this goes, I mean, we have a trade war that is not ending. Let me bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Fugle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So, as far as Boeing goes, I mean, that's a huge, massive hit if they end up continuing with it.
Well, yeah, look, it was a contract. I mean, it was a done deal. They were delivering planes, and they're saying, "Oh, we're just going to stop an already negotiated, agreed upon contract." That's a little different than say tariffs. Tariffs aren't things that go in the past. Um, it's stuff that goes in the future. It starts at a certain point in time. So they're basically retaliating with old stuff, not new stuff. So, but yeah, the other thing I like to think about is if things like this, if they're big enough, does it actually get Benson and Trump to pull the nuclear option on Wall Street, which is to delist the Chinese companies? There's been a lot of rumors about that coming. So watch, maybe we'll see they start delisting all the Chinese companies off of the U.S. exchanges.
Yeah, and that I mean, we know that there's massive, massive moves that are in play right now. One thing to stress to you guys is this is I would say that this is go time. This isn't the time when you actually go out to your bug out spot, but this is the time where you literally line up your food, prep, everything else. Because if you are not seeing what is happening right now with tens of thousands of troops sealing our border, them actually doing orders to repel invasions, I mean, if you're not seeing that they're building a golden dome for no reason, I mean, like, come on. If you're seeing destroyers backing up border missions, and then of course on the other end you're seeing all of these other countries, their actions absolutely show something massive is coming. Not to mention the threats that we just talked about. Sealing the border also could have been because of that rumor that happened in 2025 in the very, very beginning of the year and before in December of 2024, where the Sean Ryan show had that ex-spook on there, and she was stating that she believed that there was going to be 1,000 people activated in the United States and 1,000 people activated in Europe to do a simultaneous massive event. These are things we've talked about for quite a while. Maybe that's why they're sealing the border. Maybe that's why they're doing the Golden Dome. And all of these things are immediate. So you can see that most presidents that have gone before, they're super, ingrained in the political system. But, President Trump hasn't exactly been like that. He goes in for a meeting, he finds out something, and I bet this is how it goes. Wait, what? And nobody has done anything about this? And then he goes, well, let's do something. And he immediately takes a public action, even though you don't know what the private thing that was said to him was. He created Space Force overnight. I mean, it was just, he suggested something like it, but it was just like nobody believed it. And then boom, the next day he's announcing we have Space Force now. As far as Space Force, all of the things that were unsigned, that was something that the next president didn't touch because it is something that is actually now needed. As far as the EMP order, it's like, what did he go into that secret meeting and get told for him to go, I'm doing an EMP hardening, executive order right now? As far as the Golden Dome, he wanted it immediately started. To the point where they're moving ships around that can knock things out of the sky right now around our coastlines. So right now we're, have this uber level of protection around our country. But why? Again, people think that there's not going to be a war. NATO is still popping off. And of course, they're telling everybody about these, memos with China and with Elon. It totally makes sense now. I don't know how people aren't seeing it. Elon's satellite system is a part of this next conflict. And that brings us to our next story. SpaceX's Starlink satellite constellation under threat by Russia and China. Put two and two together. This is crazy. To think that Elon wouldn't be in some sort of secret meeting about a war with China when he has the Starlink constellation. This thing is being used for defensive purposes. We know that is a fact. 1 in every 4 has a hypersonic detection device or something like that. They said 1 in about every 4 has this thing. So what the hell is happening here? Dex, do you want to talk about Starlink and how they're talking about it's under threat now?
Yeah, so the constellation's facing threat from both Russia and China because it was tapped for military use in Ukraine following Russia's invasion of the nation back in 2022. We know a lot about that because we reported on it numerous times. And even Elon sort of backed off at one point saying, I don't know that I want it used for military purposes or for war purposes. But nonetheless, the reports coming out and by a nonpartisan policy think tank highlights how the growing resilience in space, and especially for national security, it's led to an increasing number of countries developing their own counter space capabilities. And it specifically talks about potentially Russia and China and their position against Elon's system and SpaceX Starlink's, using massive network of satellites in low Earth orbit for what we would think is high-speed broadband, is what we as the consumers see on it. But there's also other uses of that connectivity that can be used from everything from the military using it to in communicating out in the field to, as we said, other unknown capability that may be on there that's been talked about for quite some time.
And people said, oh, but no, Elon didn't want this to be used for war. BS. This thing has always been some sort of military application. Almost everything that Elon has done has a military application. The Boring Companies, you don't think that they're using that to dig dumbs? As far as Neuralink is literally going to be some sort of defensive mechanism. I mean, you look at a movie like Atlas. If you haven't seen that, it was actually a J-Lo movie that wasn't too bad. That shows that AI in the future, these AI bots basically go up against the United States and in the world, and they basically all fight back or whatever. Essentially, the plot of that is actually not that far off. Basically, that AI, eventually the bots, fight back or whatever else. It's not the typical story because you realize that there's a twist, right? Well, as far as in that, they have Neuralinks. In fact, they literally call them Neuralinks for them to connect to AI to defend themselves against AI. And that's exactly what Elon has said that these things are for. Because right now, there's an actual weaponized race with AI, with the Chinese actually, not stopping, not pausing for a moment. And then, of course, everybody moving forward. We're talking about a true evolution of man. I mean, the Neuralink stuff that's already happening. They've put something in some guy's brain where he looks at a screen and he can play frickin' Counter-Strike. It's insane. That is what is actually happening right now. It's not theoretical. It is happening. That has a military application. Tesla and their battery systems, that is being used to back up our grid. According to witnesses, they've seen Tesla actually helping out at different grid locations, and they're possibly loading up these giant backup battery type things. But not to mention Tesla's battery system, the battery system, that he gave to the world. That system is being used in all of the robots, in all of the war bots. So that again, and then SpaceX, I mean, easy. Starlink, a constellation around the world. You don't think that they're using that to spy on people? And they're saying, oh, yeah, we don't want it used in war. No, they don't want it used in that war or this war. But our war, I guarantee you the thing is going to be used as some sort of net around the world. It's incredible to see. And in fact, Atlas even showed a net around the world too. But, that's a movie. This is real life, and it's happening. As far as this goes, they're saying that this is under threat. Even if you are one that believes all of this is completely fake and they're just, blowing smoke up our rear ends, then you would have to realize that this is being told to us for a reason, that something is probably going to come in the future. Even when the government has completely lied to us about something, usually the actual event happens and they use it to their advantage. So even if you think that it's Ganda, this is something that hasn't gone away. This is years in the making. We're talking about a world war. Every country in the world is preparing for it, and people are still saying they've got their head in the sand, kissing their own butt goodbye, only slowly. They're just like, it's not happening. Nothing is happening. It didn't happen by Tuesday, so it's not going to happen at all. That's not how it's going to go. And I'm telling you, my friends and family are starting to wake up to it. They're starting to, but again, you have the ability for people now to zone out. They can watch 50,000 hours of streaming TV without once seeing any geopolitical problem in the planet. And that's a huge problem because everybody is going to be asleep through this whole thing. The revolution won't be televised, to tell you what. And then Before we move on, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. I hope that people are protecting themselves, especially against something like this. This has been talked about not only by DHS, but other agencies in most recent times. They are now buzzing about this. You're now seeing EMP Shield workers on civilian telephone poles or on power poles installing this stuff. They think that something is happening right now. Again, I believe it. And again, right here, you can get a defense against it. This is a device that we think is one of 5 of our main affiliates that we've kept for the years. We're not rotating out, we're not rotating out something that a third market party is telling us to do, like, here's a keto diet. No. All of our affiliates will either save your butt during a disaster or make you comfortable throughout one. So go check this out, especially since they still have the sale after that huge contest. We just ran a 2.5-week contest, and again, the winners all were announced just the other night. Again, go to marfooglenews.com/EMP because the sale that went alongside of that is the best sale they've ever had. We've been with them 6 years. They've not had something like this. For example, 3 EMP shields, you not only get $120 off from them, you get $50 off per device on our grandfather stackable discount. So that's $150 and $120 off. 4, you get $200 and $200. So again, this will outfit people that might not usually be able to afford it. So again, marfooglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARF. That will get you a giant discount right now. marfooglenews.com/EMP. All right, and then we have Hegseth suspends 3 senior political aides amid the leak inquiry. This is again another sign that something is absolutely off about this whole story about them having in Elon Musk for a secret meeting. They are firing people for leaking that information. Usually people don't get fired. Well, I guess they could for just making stuff up. And I'm sure that's what they're saying. But I think it's because it let the cat out of the bag. And now people like myself are absolutely sure what is happening right now. A lot of people out there are now exactly sure where this is headed, why we're trying to grab Greenland, why we're doing the Golden Dome, why we have tens of thousands on our border, why we are actually watching our satellites right now like a hawk, like an American hawk. Dex, do you want to go over Hegseth now just suspended 3 political aides?
Well, yeah, this is kind of crazy. So it started off with just one, and that was yesterday. They said, oh, there was just going to be one, and the one person was going to be suspended because of the investigation about the leak. And this was the leak about Elon apparently going to a secret meeting with getting the plans, the secret war plans to go against China. So, and of course, they then came out and said, no, that wasn't true. It was all fake news, et cetera, et cetera. And, but they said they were going to find out who the leakers were. So they came out and they said, one person was, I think it was Darren Selnick, the Secretary Deputy Chief of Staff, Colin Carroll, the Chief of Staff of Deputy Defense Secretary, and Stephen Finberg. They were all removed. So it's gone from 1 to now 3 people who have all been walked out of the Pentagon, who are pretty close to that, to his position and working close with Hegseth. So it begs the question, what's really going on here? It is a shakeup. It's obviously, some would say, well, maybe it was a trap. Some would say maybe it was a real deal. I know some reporters are running with an anonymous story. You can never trust the anonymous stories when they say, we have an insider from the White House that told us that, Trump changed his mind at the last second and said, no, don't have Elon in that meeting. He shouldn't be there. So he only, when he realized it was happening, he told him he couldn't come. But that, again, you can't trust that because there's no real name behind it. It's just reporters making up stuff or claiming they have anonymous sources. So again, it could be a legitimate thing. It could have been an illegitimate thing. It could have been a trap to even figure out who in there was not, not safe to hold secrets.
Yeah, I mean, we always see the people familiar with the matter, this and that, and I've told you that those are people that are being told to tell that. The people aren't going to risk not only their careers, I mean, unless there's big money involved, they're not going to risk their careers or even prison time for telling top secret information. something like this, you actually see when they were actually traitors and they said something like this. When they're walked out of the Pentagon permanently, that's a big deal. As far as most of those are all Ganda. And Ganda can be a positive thing too in some ways. There was positive Ganda during World War II that was put out basically for the other side to see so that we would be able to trick them in some way or the other during a war. But as far as this goes, this is something where, they purposely tell us 90% of the stuff because they want us to know about it. They want to tell the American people something, but they can't just come out and say it. They want to, in some ways, it could be to prepare people, or it could be because there is a bigger narrative at hand. There's some sort of psyop going on. As far as this goes, there's going to be a percentage of people that think the whole thing with China is some sort of psyop, but this has been building for years. The people that think that are most likely the people that haven't been tracking this for 6, 7, 8 years, and it's been going forward and forward and forward. Every other event, the big events that we've seen in the United States, all of them, you have seen the media have a certain pattern about talking about and preemptively putting out information about it before it happens. Almost every single massive event, including our most horrible 2001. I mean, you had frickin' AJ say 2 planes are going to go into the 2 things. And I mean, it was called out exactly. And how his answer to that was that he saw predictive programming. There is predictive programming. It exists. There's a reason behind it. I mean, you're talking about countries that adapted Adolf's, smartest people's propaganda masters and essentially snatched them. And who knows? As of like a couple weeks ago, Argentina says that those guys may have even survived and went to Argentina. Heck, they could have been on a payroll of some sort helping the U.S. with their Ganda. I mean, shoot, it would make a whole lot of sense with what came out in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. But again, lots of crazy stuff. And then trade war fallout, cancellations of Chinese freight ships begin. This is why you need to stock up. If you remember during CV, which again, CV and the cough in 2019, that was something that nobody thought could happen. I knew by what was going on in the mainstream media that this was something different. There were so many of us that could see that. There were so many with discernment that saw and go, this isn't normal. This is not just your normal like H2N2, well, there's 5 birds in North Carolina. That one was different. They treated it differently. They covered it up differently. Everything about it was just freaky and scary. Again, with this, with what happened there with the cargo ships and the containers that didn't come to the United States, that was a very crazy time. I talked about over the last couple of weeks that Fry's just disappeared. The one by me, of course, kept open for 6 months, telling their employees that, hey, everything's going to be fine. They ran a Toys R Us or Costco-sized building, and frickin' literally had empty shelves for 6 months. And then on a Friday, they say, hey, guys, sorry, but you leave tonight at 6, and at 7, get a message saying, hey, you guys, you're never coming back to work again. It was crazy to see what was coming from China, and almost all of it electronics. So we already have inflation and everything is crazy on all the food and everything else. Now we're about to have some craziness go on with electronics, but that also means the market is also going to be hit very, very hard. When they stop sending container ships of some of the most simple things, that's when you need to prep. And again, that's why we've recommended services like Jace. You guys get yourself antibiotics, get yourself stuff like that. Because look at this. The number of canceled sailings of freight vessels out of China is picking up as ocean carriers attempt to manage a pullback in orders due to the trade wars and tariffs. Because people don't want to spend 125, 145% more to get their things. And then in vice versa, they don't want to spend 100 and something percent on their stuff. Again, a steep decline in containers being shipped to the U.S. will have a big impact on the supply chain from port to trucking, rail, and warehouse economics. I think that they're resetting the system right now. There's people way above all of this that somehow 4D chess this into the play, and that this may be a part of a long-term plan that's been going on for a very, very long time. Dex, as far as the cargo ships, that will be a very scary thing if we see anything close to what we saw, after the 2019 event.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think we've seen the actual decline. They're starting to see it, but it's gonna happen. I tried to go back in and look at like things I might have bought on Amazon or something like that I figured might have come from China or have some sort of potential tariff in it. I go back and I look and see if the price raised, and it hasn't happened yet. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's not coming, and I'm certain it is. It's just that the things that are probably in those inventories right now just haven't been replenished with the expensive items that are going to come through after that date when the tariffs kicked in. But that certainly means the people that are pre-buying and buying that inventory in stock to put on Amazon or to put in a Walmart or to put in the Target or wherever, they're not buying. They're not placing those orders because the prices are going to be too high. So all of those ships that would normally be full of containers of goods and products coming over are empty. And they're having empty orders. So they're having to literally cancel ships now. And that's pretty serious.
And that will also mean that prices will go up on the people that do want to still get their stuff shipped. All of a sudden, there's less people going up on a ship. And if it's running at 10% capacity, they're going to go, hey, we can't run this whole ship unless you guys pay more. Because if there's 1,000 containers that are normally on the damn thing, but only 300 are there, they're going to say, hey, we need 3 times the amount to run the ship. We've got a crew. We've got this. So this is something I will physically be going and checking out, especially since I'm in Seattle, one of the biggest ports, and I hope that you guys do go do your own investigations at the other ports. What is actually happening? We need to get, feet to the pavement and start actually seeing what's about to go down. Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen the TikTok videos. I heard about them. I haven't seen them, so I'm not on TikTok. But there's a whole lot of these TikTok videos now that are coming out, and I'm assuming it's propaganda from China, but suggesting that we buy directly from their factories. Like, in other words, buy your Nike shoes directly from a Chinese factory because they're making them, and then you don't have all the markup of Nike and everyone else, or fashion clothes or whatever it may be, right? So even if you pay a tariff on it, it's still going to be cheaper because they make it so much cheaper to begin with that by the time all the markup gets to us from the brands that own it. So I don't know if that's just a scare tactic, but it's certainly making a bit of headway in the social space right now, and people are starting to talk about that. I don't think that, but I mean, would that change anything? I mean, could that be like a way to all of a sudden shift the economy directly into China's hands and undercut the companies that have been building products? I don't know if American consumers would actually do that. Would you buy directly from China?
Well, I mean, a lot of people kind of think they are already. So I wonder how many people will have any kind of, wall between that, because a lot of people are buying from Temu and Shein and thinking, I'm getting it directly from China.
Right.
So especially, and a lot of those companies actually have kind of they already have stuff here that's ready to go. But many of them, it's like it takes 2-3 weeks to get stuff. I could see people doing that, especially when money is this tough for everybody. I mean, the thing is everybody can say, well, I'm not going to support them. But then when it gets down to the wire and you're barely paying rent and you need something, and that something is 4 times cheaper over here, I honestly think there's a lot of judgmental people out there, but I think when it comes down to it, a lot of people are doing it because that's their only option. And this is something that was screwed over. I mean, we were all screwed over through CV, through 2019, all of this stuff that's happening to our economy. If you don't see the patterns there, and these aren't like, how the movie makes everybody that does conspiracies like, there's a pattern, connect the dots. These are right in your face. They absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, everything has been caught. Every lie that they told, they got caught 3 or 4 months later. And if you put all of those together, it absolutely looks like this was a mutiny. Like this was a coup d'etat of the whole freaking country. And, some are saying that that's what's happening right now, that it's reversed, right? That this is a coup d'etat. Whatever this is, I can tell you this much. There is enough right in our face, right out in the open of so much corruption and just messed up stuff that we are in for a crazy ride. Speaking of crazy ride, a U.S. territory, Puerto Rico, As far as the power, 1.4 million clients were without power. Again, it says it's not immediately clear what caused the shutdown, but remember, Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, so this could be a tit for tat kind of thing. They'll end up finding out or telling us some sort of cover up for what's actually happening. I think Puerto Rico has a lot of significance in other things. Like I think they hide stuff in Puerto Rico as far as the U.S. government. They have certain things going on there. So if they lose power, somebody else might be losing power that we don't know about. I think that they can do things there that they can't. They can hide a lot better, but I don't know. Again, with there was a lot of other stories today not hitting the top of the priorities. There was some more stuff about Gene Hackman living in a rat-infested mess. I'm not going to cover all of that. Again, Claire Spencer, thank you for subscribing. Nathaniel Williams says, hey, how's it going? I had my phone fly off my motorcycle phone mount today on the interstate. It got ran over. LOL, time to get a new phone. Well, I'm glad, Nathaniel Williams, it wasn't you that flew off your handlebars. Devon Bacchus, thank you for your support. I appreciate that. Claire and Michael Meek, thank you so much for your subscribing. I appreciate that. And then, of course, Kay, thank you for, again, super chatting this week. All Things Random, Cage Crow, Kay Wildman, and so many more. Today is, again, a very short show with all of the most important stuff, so make sure to share it out. We will be back tomorrow on 4/17/2025. Make sure to join us for both shows over there. Thank you, Trusted Source, for, again, re-upping that membership. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And all of the mods, make sure to thank them over at marfooglenews.com/mods. If you want to join us over in Jams, I'll be doing a short shout-out to thank all of the supporters today. Ian Jones, thank you for being a new member as well. And I appreciate all of you guys. Make sure to go shout out your mods. And OHIO. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. Dex, thank you so much for your service today. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
And again, make sure to go. I would highly, 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 highly recommend going and checking out Jace if you haven't already. Again, there's lots of great stuff over there. That's marfooglenews.com/Jace. You can go find it over on our website, along with a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document over at our website. When you go there, all you have to do is look for today's thumbnail. And again, you can just go and click any of the articles and find the full source. Again, go over and check out Jace, marfooglenews.com/EMP, and marfooglenews.com/Jace. Again, those are the two affiliates of today. If you want to go support, you'll be supporting independent. All right, you guys, have a wonderful day. Be safe, be prepared. Marf out. It is time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It is a shoutro.